It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood.
Welcome to Boone and Crockett's Heritage of the Hunt.
Welcome to Boone and Crockett Club's Heritage of the Hunt, Justin Kallusky. Justin, how are you doing today?
I'm feeling extremely blessed and fortunate to have made it down here for this awards, and it's been a bit of a whirlwind, but yeah, it's been a good time.
It was a little dicey, but let's set the context here. Justin, you shot the world record mountain goat in 2022, correct? So we are at the 32nd Big Game Awards. Your beautiful goat, is in the exhibit over there, and
Yeah.
you're recognized for having a world record. That's a pretty big deal. That's a pretty incredible opportunity.
It's not something that I ever thought, that would be a title that would be associated with me. But yeah, I feel very fortunate and extremely blessed to have been given such a gift. So
Absolutely. So we'll get to tonight's awards are out. Let's start with your hunt and your experience. I'm sure there was a whole lot of prep and things that went into getting to the situation where you had the tag and had the opportunity. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about that?
yeah, I mean, at that particular moment in my life when that hunt sort of came to fruition, I had a couple things that were really going on for me in my life. One of them is I had this all I can describe it as is like this yearning, this desire, this existential need and want to give something back to hunting. Throughout my entire life, hunting has always been something for me that has provided so much value into my life. It's where I go when I need to find answers. It's where I go to heal. It's always just brought me such a sense of peace. And up until that point, I felt as I've matured and got a bit older, I realized that I've taken respectfully and within the rules, but I never had the opportunity to give something back per se. And so that longing was real, and it was there before I went on that hunt. And also at that same time, I was going through what I can only describe as the most difficult time of my life. I really just felt like I was a lost soul. I was in search of a connection to my higher power. My life was in disarray. I'd gone through a divorce. I had pretty much lost everything, and I was just kind of just a broken man at that point. So, as is usually the case when I'm feeling low like that, I head to the mountains. Yeah. And we certainly did. My friend Charlie joined me on the trip. Where we were hunting was about a 20-hour drive from where we lived down in southern British Columbia up to the north. And we went up, and the hunt started with a week-long stone sheep hunt, do-it-yourself backpack hunt.
That's cool.
Off the highway. We ended up getting Charlie his very first sheep, and we were pretty beat up after that. Hiking that sheep out of the mountains on our back, for the better part of 25 kilometers. And his feet were just tore right up, blistered, bleeding. His toenails were falling off from pounding down the mountain. I guess his boots weren't
Right.
suitable. And so it was kind of up in the air as to whether he would be physically capable of going on this hunt with me. And I didn't feel as though it was a hunt that I could have undertaken on my own. Yeah. But being the good friend that he is, he duct taped his toenails down and bit the bullet, and we were off on the next leg of our adventure.
Okay.
We had a day's rest, and we ended up hiking in another whole day hike, backpack from the truck.
Is an area you knew there were goats there, you had, or had you scouted? Did you know the area pretty well?
Yeah, I had lived up there
Okay.
previously and kind of got to know the area a bit, and had hunted with another friend there who had taken a really nice goat.
Okay.
And so I had this intuition, let's say, that
right
there was
place.
a really good one there.
Yeah.
So yeah, needless to say, we packed all of our stuff in, got there, um, realized that I had forgotten the fuel for the stove,
Oh no.
and we were forced to endure cold mountain houses and cold coffees. But, luckily it was summer and, it wasn't that bad. The first night, um, we were watching goats, but they were out of reach. They were not in our management unit.
Okay.
And the place where we were hunting was, I'm talking, as extreme as it gets as far as like topography is concerned. And there was goats there, but I just thought to myself, man,
Can't do it.
what are we going to do?
Yeah.
Like, you can't take these
Yeah,
goats
you
because
get it, but how are you going to get it out?
you won't get it back.
Yeah.
And so, that was off limits. So the next day we struck out and sort of went a different direction. And it was really hot out, I remember. And as the day progressed and the temperature climbed, and
So it's like September, I'm assuming then?
it was August.
August. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So we weren't seeing anything, and my expectations of anything positive happening just was diminishing by the second. And
Yeah.
and really it started wearing on me. Like, I was very just disappointed, and that was kind of overtaking my thoughts, was this negativity of, what was potentially not going to happen.
Can I
And
ask a question? Is that a limited tag, or is it something? Is it what's I don't tell me a little bit about British Columbia. Was this a long time draw for you to get this
no,
particular tag, or was it okay?
no,
Okay,
no.
but it doesn't matter because it's still a challenging hunt to get in there.
Yeah, and a guy like myself, a working guy,
Ah.
I work all year, and I'm only afforded a couple weeks off a year.
Perfect. Yeah.
And I got to save my money and put
Absolutely.
all my eggs in one basket, kind of thing. So, um, lo and behold, as I'm in my mind going over all this stuff, there's this white that catches my eye down below, and we stop and I put the binoculars up. Sure enough, it's the ass end of a goat is the only thing we could see hanging out from this overhang of rock and vegetation. And the goat was stuffed up underneath, hiding from the sun, and all you could see was this big butt. And so we sat down and we waited, and we waited, and we waited, and we waited. And I'm talking hours and hours and hours went by sitting there. And of course, the narrative in my mind is going on like, well, what's going to happen? What if this? What if that? And then I had this moment, which I can honestly say, like, really just changed my life. In that moment, I just felt this sense of calm and peace, and this like acceptance for like whatever happens, happens, and that it's out of my control. And that I realized by me impressing my wishes upon like what I hoped or think would happen was like diminishing my capacity to enjoy myself. And so it's really something. It was like, it felt divine,
Hmm.
spiritual. Like, there was this sense of calm and peace
Peace.
and just unconditional love. And in that moment, it's like I snapped out of this slumber almost. Like, although I had been there in that place, all of a sudden everything seemed that much more beautiful, that much more vibrant. I was so incredibly grateful to just be there in that moment. And in that particular moment, I was like, it doesn't matter what happens. Like, I'm so happy just to be here that it really doesn't matter. And for whatever reason, I just felt this like surge of creativity, let's say, come into my mind. And I whipped out my notepad and I just started writing poetry
Really?
in the,
You've never written poetry before?
well,
Not like that.
no, not like that at all. And just to feel that surge of creativity in such a spontaneous moment. And I started writing these poems about this mountain goat that I was like overlooking
Yeah.
down below me. it was really beautiful.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. To have that, to know, particularly when you're going through the travels that you have been with your life, to realize that the change of mindset had a higher power, had something else that came into you to recognize the moment and
Mhm.
experience that. And so now you're sitting there still waiting. You've written these poems. You've had this moment of, not moment, but kind of sounds like a transcendental moment in your life where you turned a corner.
Yeah,
What have I?
which going forward, I've adopted that mentality in all aspects of my life, and it's been life changing. Um, but on with the hunt, Charlie and myself had formulated a plan that when this goat stood up, we obviously wanted to get a good look at him. We didn't even know it was a him
Okay.
at that point, but I had intuitive feeling that it was.
About how far? What was the distance?
It was under a couple hundred yards.
Amazing. So you're that close to the
Yeah,
fallen. Yeah.
yeah. And lo and behold, he starts to stir a little bit in his bed, and we get ready. And normally, after an animal's been bedded in a one position for hours on end, like he had been, normally they'll stand up, they'll stretch, they'll have a piss or something. This goat, he just got up, turned. We just had enough time to see that he was packing an enormous set of horns on his head, and he just walked off, gone, completely gone. And my jaw just literally dropped and my heart sank. And I'll admit, in that moment of not, a few minutes before, where I was like, it doesn't matter what happens, it's all okay.
Now the disappointment's back.
As soon as that goat left, it was like, hell no. It's like, I'm gonna go get that sucker. And you know, I've always been a bit of a results goal orientated person, and I really wanted that goat, obviously. And so the goat, he disappeared. Um, Charlie stayed up top. I strolled down over I say strolled, but I mean like hand over hand, like down a near vertical cliff,
Mm.
down as far as I could go. And then I got to a point where it literally was, I couldn't go any farther. It was like
Scary.
you needed rappelling gear.
Wow.
And I was holding on to a bush and leaning out over the edge, peering, trying to find this thing. And all I hear is this whistle from up top. And I turn around and I look up the hill, and my buddy, he's making these like weird hand signals. Like he's got his hands up in front of his eyes like this, like binoculars, and he's looking around all over the place. And I'm just like,
What? Where? What are you talking about?
what are you trying to convey? Like, I don't
I
understand.
don't think our hand signals are so obvious in the field, and
Yeah.
maybe they're not.
No. And I was just like I was frustrated and I was annoyed that, this goat had given us the slip.
Yep.
And so I turned around and I said, just a second, man, like I'm right in the middle of something here. And like I looked for another 30 seconds or so, and I turned around and he was gone. My partner was gone, and the goat was gone, and I was left standing there
Stuck on the side of a cliff.
dumbfounded as to what to do. So I went back up and I looked around everywhere for my hunting partner. He was nowhere to be found. I went the direction that the goat went, hoping to get ahead of him or find out where he had gone. I hiked for a good half hour, couldn't find him anywhere. Turned around, hiked back to where I was, and there's my friend standing there as if he'd been there the whole time. And he just was nonchalant. He's just like, well, I was just like, where the hell did you go? What did you do? And he's like, well, I was watching the goat the whole time. He's like, you were standing right on top of him. The goat was inside of a cave 10 feet below my feet.
Oh my gosh.
And he said, when you turned around and you said, just give me a minute, he figured he didn't know that I couldn't go down any further. He thought that I was going to like go down and run into this mountain goat face to face.
Gosh.
And him having this sick sense of humor that he has, he's like, I thought it was going to be hilarious. He said, you and that mountain goat scaring the absolute bleep out of one another. And so he scurried off the other way to get a better view to watch
this thing play out.
Exactly. And so, needless to say, I was tempted to want to give him a good punch in the arm, but
Well, at least in the arm.
yeah, I decided not to because I needed his help. And we went over to where he had that vantage point, and sure enough, there was this mountain goat bedded inside of this cave. It was the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Is that a behavior you've seen or had seen with watching goats before?
Well, I mean, I've never actually seen them in there.
But it makes sense.
In throughout my journeys in the mountains, I've seen caves with, scats and stuff and all that. So I know that they use them, but never have I ever seen it actually play out in real life. We snuck down and got within about 162 yards, I think, lined up. And he was bedded at the time. And I really wanted him to stay where he was because it did not look good for us or him if he tumbled down the mountain. And I hit him 3 times, right where I wanted to every time, right in the shoulder in the boiler room. And every single time it's the same. It's with their last dying breath. It's like in their DNA to hurl themselves off.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
I've heard that.
I've seen it several times now, and it's just, I think it's built in as a survival mechanism to get away at all costs. And so
He did.
he did, and we watched as he tumbled and tumbled and tumbled and tumbled down into the ravine, out of sight.
But you had already made the decision you can't get down when you tried dying down the other
That's
side.
right.
Wow, that must have been a gut punch.
It was, and it was the hike down. It really felt like an eternity, not knowing what to expect when we got down there. And lo and behold, we got down there, and it was miraculous. He was not busted up. He wasn't broken. None of that.
Wow.
So everyone always asks me, he's like, well, when you walked up to him, you must have known. And no, I didn't.
Really?
Like,
he's nice.
how do you,
Yeah.
I don't carry a tape measure in my pocket.
Right.
That's not really why I'm out there. I knew he was a beautiful goat, and I felt very fortunate to have had such an incredible experience in order to get him. But I didn't know he was the world record until I got back, about a week after I got back to town.
Okay. Well, let's back up. That pack out. I bet that wasn't a lot of fun because you have a full body mount, right? So is it?
I do, but I already have a mountain goat on my wall.
Okay.
And so I had no intentions of mounting this mountain goat.
Interesting.
I was there strictly for the experience, for the memories, for the meat. Yeah. So we didn't take the cape, and it was a summer cape. But after that tumble, the cape wasn't in like the greatest condition. So, yeah, I ended up having to obviously get a nice cape out of Alaska for the mount that you see inside the museum right now.
That's pretty logical. So that helps on the pack out, but it was still a pretty steep area. Or were you able to walk down the ravine?
No,
you had to go way back up, huh?
No water. We were both out of water.
How long did that take?
It took a day.
That's an amazing experience. So now you get out, and maybe it's starting to set in that it's a pretty big animal. What made you decide, maybe besides people going, dude, you gotta get that thing scored, that you might have had something pretty special?
Yeah. So in British Columbia, it's mandatory to take that mountain goat in and have it inspected so that the biologists can record the information, and they use that data so that they can make informed decisions about game management and stuff. And when I took it to the fellow who was doing the compulsory inspections, he was kind of just beside himself. He was just like, where in the heck did you find that thing? And I, told him roughly where it was, not exactly, but
point.
Yeah. And he said, he just was like, that thing is absolutely enormous. He's like, you need to go see this fellow named Grant Markowski, who's a official Boone and Crockett scorer in the community that I live in. And I was kind of just like, really? You think so? And he's like, yeah, man, you need to go see this guy right now. And so I got Grant's number. I phoned him. I came over, and he's a diehard, passionate hunter. He's an older gentleman, probably in his 70s. um, you know, just loves everything about hunting. Obviously, he's a official scorer. And when I showed up with this thing and he seen it in my hand, his eyes just went as big as frickin' saucers. He looked around. He's like, almost to make sure like no one had followed me there. It's like I felt like I was carrying some classified CIA document or something. He like ushered me into the house and like locked the door. And he just like put his hands on his head and he's just like, do you even understand what you have here? And I said, no,
A mountain goat.
not really. Like,
He's nice.
it's a nice goat. And he's like, come with me. And we go down in the basement and he's like, okay. He's like, I don't normally green score stuff. He's like, I like to wait after the 60-day dry period to actually do it. But he's like, if you're okay with it, I'd like to just take a quick little measure just to see what we got here.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, no problem. And so we put the tape on it and measured it out, and he calculated it, and he just like calculates it again, and he's just like, you got the new world record here, man. And not by a little bit. He's like, you absolutely crushed the old record. And I was just in disbelief, like what, like
That this happened to you.
Yeah.
That this was given to you, this opportunity.
Yeah. And I like how you phrased that, because I truly felt like it was something that was bestowed upon me, that getting back to what I touched on earlier about feeling that existential longing and need to want to give something back. And then also really just needing something positive to happen in my life at that point in time, because I had been through just a lot of hardship, that in some weird, mysterious way, this was what I was asking for. And it's so beautiful when you think that when you put out into the universe a genuine desire that's like honest and real and genuine, that sometimes life listens and it gives you something back.
And if you're willing to listen to that moment when it comes back to you, it's very profound.
Yeah. And so much happened after that. I mean,
so you wait the 60 days and you confirm then at that point.
I confirmed
Yeah.
with Grant, and there's a couple little funny stories that stick out throughout this whole thing. And one of them was when I went back after the 60-day drying period, he's like, you got it? It's all good? And I was like, yeah. I said the dog kind of got a hold of it and chewed on it a little bit, but I said otherwise it's like it's in okay condition. I thought he was gonna frickin' drop me. Like,
Didn't have a sense of humor?
no, he did not think that was funny whatsoever.
You did.
I did. But anyways, like once it was officially scored and all the paperwork was submitted, I got in touch with I'm not even sure who it was at the club at that time, but
Would have been Justin probably.
yeah,
At the time,
yeah. And he said, you can come down into Montana,
Yep.
and we're going to have a judges panel and we can score it there. Or you can come down to Reno to the sheep show, and we can do it like big time in front of the crowd.
So just to add context for people who may not know, so the awards program is a 3-year program. So you killed your sheep at the first year, the 2022. For any kind of a record, state, world, we have to do a judges panel in order to verify what that individual OM. It's just a process that goes. They validate the scores to confirm that it is there. So you had the opportunity to have a special judges panel, and that was what I'm assuming it was Justin offered, to come down to Missoula to the headquarters or to go to Reno. And so they convened a special judges panel to confirm this.
They did.
Before they had to come here. So they had it done before here. Otherwise, you would have to wait 3 years.
Yeah. And so obviously that just, the allure of like going down to Reno to the sheep show was, I couldn't say no. And what made it even more special was my dad, who was like so proud of me. He was able to join and come down. and we went to Reno, and we met all your guys that were there
At our booth.
at the booth.
Yeah.
And you know, I just can't say enough about the integrity and the character of the people that are part of this organization. Solid, good human beings. Like on a level that, it's really hard to describe. They just welcomed us in like family. And, I was, like I say, I was really going through a difficult time. Like I was really lacking a lot of like confidence and self-esteem. And I was like not thinking very highly of myself at that point because I had made all these mistakes in my life and so on and so forth. And everyone was just so genuine and sincere. They just were like, this couldn't have happened to a better guy. I'm so happy this happened for you. Like this was, you were meant to do this, Justin. Like, like just the genuine sincerity and these people didn't know me per se. Like they had nothing to prove or to like gain by like pumping up my tires for no particular reason. And it really kind of like snapped me out of the funk I was in. And it made me be like, hey, yeah, no, yeah, I made some mistakes, but yes, I am a good,
It's life.
really good person inside. And
I had a phrase, so this goes back to when I was well, not a child. I had my sister's kid, Lion King. There's a phrase where Rafiki
mhm,
smacks Simba upside the head, and he's, "How? What'd you do that for?" And his response is, "It's not what happened. Yes, life can be difficult, but sometimes, but it's not whether you learn from it, whether you run from it or you learn from it, and those mistakes happen. Our lives are that way,
yes,
and being able to take that and become a better human being because of that is what life is all about. And
you're,
you had the opportunity through hunting, and that makes it even more, I don't know, more human.
yeah, and I think it's a very important um, thing to recognize for like people who may not understand why we're out there, because I think a lot of the perception is like we're out there, we're like bloodthirsty killers. We're there because we like to kill things and take our pictures with it, and when in fact it goes so much deeper than that. It really is a part of like who we are. It's a part of our DNA. It's our connection to our spirituality and our higher power, and hunting has a way of mirroring back to us these like huge, profound lessons in life.
Yeah.
These lessons that we learn through hunting, we apply them in everyday life. And that's a beautiful thing.
It's an amazing.
Um, and so the trip, the whole scoring thing in Reno was absolutely amazing. And one other little funny thing that happened down there that I'll always remember is sitting at the booth with all the guys.
It was, I'm trying to remember. I remember seeing Bucky. Did Bucky was involved in
Bucky,
that? And
Mike, Brett,
Brett.
and some of their family was there too.
Yeah, but that was the judge's panel, right? Those
Yeah,
were the three guys that were part of this
yeah.
process. Okay.
And so we're sitting there and people are coming up and checking out the goat. And this one gentleman, he's like slow walking by, and he catches this goat skull sitting on the table out of the corner of his eye. And he stops and he looks at the goat, and he looks up at the Boone and Crockett banner. He looks back at the goat. He looks at the banner, and he says, "Ain't Boone and Crockett North American?" And the, the guy from the club, he's like, "Yes, sir." He's like, "Well, ain't that thing from Africa?"
Oh my God.
He says, "No, sir. That's the new world record mountain goat taken by this gentleman here, Mr. Justin Kallusky."
That's awesome.
It's
Because it's so big, it
it's
doesn't even look like a mountain goat.
it's so obscene.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
And so that will always stick with me as like a really, really funny thing that happened.
I'm going to divert for just a second. I mean, you've hunted your whole life, right? So you knew about the Boone and Crockett, but was this your first real exposure to the club's history and
Yes.
conservation messaging?
Yes. I will admit right now that my perception or idea of what the club represented was not really like what it truly represents. Like
You knew the score record book, I'm assuming.
I thought it was like all about the score, all about the records, that like to be in the book was to like somehow serve your ego, to pump it. Like I really honestly didn't know like the real truth and meaning behind the Boone and Crockett, with like Teddy Roosevelt, like, trying to save North American wildlife through exposing people to hunting and conservation. So it was all new to me, and I was just felt so incredibly grateful to be a part of that. And then, of course, after the sheep show, I definitely had my 15 minutes of fame. Like
So we did a press release, I'm pretty sure. We're seeing some stories coming out.
I had reporters and different people reaching out, wanting to barter me to get the story and all that. But then I was talking with PJ, who was your guys' editor.
Delholm, yeah, it's Fair Chase
At the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Still is.
Okay.
Yep.
And he was like, I want to do a story on this. And I was like, I felt obligated to like share the story, but I had to, something told me that I had to share it through my own lens.
Okay.
Like, because it was so meaningful to me that somebody else couldn't do it justice, and that I needed to be able to write this story. And I've always had a bit of an affinity and a passion for writing. But over the years, it kind of diminished, and I sort of let it fall by the waysides. And really, it's right now, it's become such an important part of my life because it's how I can truly express myself. So I took on the task of writing that story for your guys' magazine, and it literally took me about 2 months. Like, to try to find the right words to convey the depth of the emotion and the experience, and I wanted the reader to feel like they were right there along with me. And so it took me a while, and with PJ's help editing, obviously, like, I feel like we turned out an absolutely incredible story that I had a ton of positive feedback over. And because I had written it and you guys purchased that story off of me, I took the proceeds from that story and I donated it to the Rocky Mountain Goat Alliance as a way of saying thank you to giving back to wildlife, to the mountain goats. In turn, that kind of caught the attention of the CEO of the British Columbia Wild Sheep Society, Kyle Stelter.
Okay.
He had kind of been loosely following my story, and he met me, and I don't know, he just kind of seen what kind of guy I was, and I guess he had a good feeling, and he really targeted me, I would say. Like, he was like, you got to come join us, like, you got to get on board, like, and so he recruited me essentially. And so then I became a part of the BC British Columbia Wild Sheep Society, and I sit on the board of directors.
Okay.
And so now, you can like, I had this like longing to want to give something back, and through this hunt, through this goat, now I'm living it. Like, at the time when I was contemplating it, it's like, what am I gonna do? Like, I don't have a ton of money. I don't have a bunch of resources. And I think that's like a common theme with a lot of people. There's this genuine desire and want to give something back, but you don't need to, have a ton of money or own a hunting outfit or be connected to, well-to-do people or any of that. Like, all you really genuinely need is that desire. And there's like 3 things that you can contribute. It's time, treasure, and talent.
Yep.
And those are the 3 things.
Say that a lot.
And so,
your time and your talent?
yeah, my time is my time, on the board, working in conjunction with, government and biologists and different conservation groups, organizing different projects within our region. My talent, I feel, is my capacity and my ability to write and to try to project or portray hunters in a light that's like maybe not how some people would look upon us. And the treasure is essentially, I got a replica done of the actual horns, which I donated to the Rocky Mountain Goat Alliance.
Okay.
And they're taking this around to all the different fundraisers and conservation banquets. And it just warms my heart to see I walk in and there's a mob of people standing around the table, and it's like, oh, the goat must be over there. And you go over there and there's people standing with it, taking pictures of it, smiling, talking about it, and they're buying memberships. Like, it's directly influencing people to buy memberships
To
because
support this organization that's doing.
it's like you need to see it to appreciate it. It's not just a mountain goat skull. It's symbolic of something bigger, of the fact that there are still these wild places out there on this earth that are untouched, and there's these magnificent animals that are still thriving there. They still exist there, and that me or any of, the people who may be listening to this, as long as you have a genuine desire and you can get out there and you have a tag in your pocket, like, miracles can happen.
Absolutely.
I feel like it really it strikes a note with people. Like, it's very representative of, like, this bigger picture.
For sure.
Yeah.
What happened to the poetry you wrote on the side of the mountain?
Uh, well, I wrote one of the poems was published in the story, and then, yeah, I've done some more writing since then, and I've had a couple stories published in the BC Wild Sheep Society, Wild Sheep Forever publication, which has been pretty cool. And yeah, I keep dabbling and writing. I have a poem here right now that I could share
Yeah,
if you would
please.
like.
I
Yeah,
love it. Yeah.
because I think this really speaks to. It says more about how I feel about hunting and what I think about hunting more than, like, I can really explain,
Mhm.
because it was in this moment that it all made sense to me. And of course, the inspiration came for it when I was out on the trail with a backpack on and I was on a sheep hunt. So it's actually called The Humanity of Hunting. So I was kicking rocks and deep in my thoughts on a lonely, winding trail, heading deep into the land of sheep amongst the talus, rock, and shale. Now, with a heavy pack and an aching back, a man's mind begins to wander. It often goes to a place of stillness and grace, and deep questions it starts to ponder. Like the meaning of life, and who's to say what's wrong or right, because in the end, our hearts will tell us the truth. Then we realize the answers lay in front of our eyes. It's in nature we find the proof. For at no other time do we seem to find the space to be in our hearts, not our heads, connected and still while expressing our will to live our lives without regret. So if you think to yourself that we as hunters are simple-minded folks just seeking a thrill, try if you can to understand what we seek is more than a kill. It is in the mountains and the quiet places where our soul lights up and our spirit chases the most intimate parts of ourselves. Hunting helps us to see who God wants us to be, and that's just the cards we were dealt. So we follow our hearts and choose to take part in a tradition as old as man, hunting to find our peace of mind, even if you're not a fan. We are fathers and moms, daughters and sons, your neighbor, your brothers and friend. So please don't label us, if you're able, as rednecks, heartless and dense. Hear these words I say and stop trying to take away an integral part of my soul. I'm at a loss for words and just trying to be heard. Hunting means more to me than you'll ever know.
Damn, you're good. That was really impressive. And that is, I am, in addition to the work I do freelance writing, and being able to convey that depth of soul and passion is one of the most amazing gifts that you can pass out
Thank
to the
you.
world. So thank
Thank
you
you.
for sharing that with us. Thank you for sharing your story and joining us on Heritage of the Hunt, because I feel like making your voice larger and helping us to convey everything that is so deep and integral in who we are is
Yeah.
incredible. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for taking this time to sit with me today. Congratulations to you. I'm excited to see you up on stage today. And this has been truly an honor. And I know our paths are going to cross again. Justin, thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
When I interviewed Justin, it was the afternoon before the 32nd Big Game Awards banquet. I couldn't tell him then because I didn't want to spoil the surprise. But later that evening, he was honored with the Sagamore Hill Award for his hunt that culminated in the world's record Rocky Mountain Goat. This prestigious award originated in 1947 when several Boone and Crockett Club members, including Archibald Roosevelt, decided to create a memorial to Theodore Roosevelt. The award recognizes an outstanding animal in the Big Game Awards, as well as the hunter skill, conservation awareness, and fair chase pursuit. The Sagamore Hill Award is only presented periodically, and Justin is the first recipient in 15 years, joining 18 previous awardees. I think you can agree after listening to this interview that this is a well-deserved honor. Congratulations, Justin.